but he hasn't stayed healthy. And he doesn't have the kind of effect on the team yet. He may as he goes on. That elevates and makes the whole team play better. Then Nick Foles comes in at the end. First, he won a Super Bowl with an incredible run, Nick Foles. And then he got you to the playoffs. The whole team started playing better. And then won on the road against the Bears team he was supposed to lose to and almost won. The receiver makes that catch. He almost could have won on against New Orleans on the road. Like, that's a hell of a title defense. It came up short, but usually teams don't go back-to-back anyway. So it was working. I would have tried to keep him, but they didn't, Stephen A. So it's like a move in chess. People prepare to castle, and then sometimes they mess around and try and get too cute. They don't castle. If you prepare to castle, castle the king. They prepared the move to sign Carson Wentz. So I like it because now they're taking the next step. If you let Nick Foles walk out the door, it is because Carson Wentz is your guy. So now you got to do this. I like it, but I can't say I love it.
But that's exactly why I love it. And the reason why I love it is because they identified who their man was. Even while Nick Foles had won a Super Bowl, and then after that, it guided them back to the playoffs once Carson Wentz went down again and guided them to the playoffs in a win over Chicago and Khalil Mack and the crew. Don't get me started with why Khalil Mack is gone from here. I'm in a very good mood. Don't get me started. But what I'm saying is I love the fact that they took care of Carson Wentz, because I know Carson Wentz can ball, and I know that injuries have been his impediment, not his game. And so in light of that, that's number one why I love it. Number two why I love it is now you got to take care of Dak Prescott, because you can't sit up there and pay Carson Wentz, who, even though he was a league MVP candidate 2 years ago before he went down with that injury against the Los Angeles Rams with about 3 or 4 games left in the season, even though he was a league MVP candidate then, and then last year he got injured, even though his record was 5-6 as a starter, the fact of the matter is not only has he might have proven that he can ball, but the flip side is that he hasn't been the one in the playoffs with the Eagles. That has been Nick Foles. Dak Prescott's been the one in the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years with the Dallas Cowboys. So when I see $107.9 million guaranteed for a dude that, and I understand, Max, what you normally say, I'm paying you for what you can do, not just for what you've done. But I'm sorry, Dak Prescott is a young brother. More importantly, he's more reliable because he's proven to be more durable.
That stability is availability.
There you go. You've been in the playoffs 2 of the last 3 years. You Jerry Jones, you Stephen Jones. By the way, the Dallas Cowboys won the NFC East. You can't sit up there and watch the Eagles take care of a brother that ain't show up in the playoffs, albeit due to injury, with $107.9 million in guarantees, but ignore what Dak Prescott brings to the table. You got to pay that brother.
Let me answer that.
You got to pay that brother.
Let me answer that. I don't think Dak should get the money Wentz got, and I'll explain why.
Time. Repeat that because they were clapping.
I don't think Dak should get the money Wentz got, and I'll explain why. Even though the best quarterbacks aren't always the most talented. Like, there's some things Russell Wilson can't do. There's some things Tom Brady can't do. But they're Super Bowl champions. Brady's the greatest ever. Russell Wilson's a Hall of Famer in the future, the whole thing.
Yep.
But there are some dudes who, talent-wise, they have production on the field, and talent-wise can do things no one else can do. I will name them for you. There aren't a whole lot. There's Patrick Mahomes, right?
There's Drew Brees. There's Aaron Rodgers.
I won't even put Drew Brees. I'm talking about who have the legs, who have everything at the highest level. Accuracy, brain, everything.
Eli Manning.
Patrick Mahomes.
Laugh it up.
Aaron Rodgers. Andrew Luck. Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz got the size, the arm, the IQ, the accuracy, the wheels, the whole thing.
Time out. Hold on. Max, that's just not fair. That's just not fair. I'm not even talking about the accuracy or lack thereof in terms of your evaluation of their talent, because I'll give it to you that Carson Wentz is talent. I get that. But we can't sit on this show and various other shows throughout various networks pontificating and talking about sports. And especially when it comes to the quarterback position, we have cost people money by talking about their character. We have cost people money by talking about their lack of leadership. We have cost people money by talking about their absence of the intangibles that contributes to galvanizing a franchise and propelling them to other heights. But Dak Prescott has that in droves, and we're going to ignore it. We look at Ezekiel Elliott. damn, that man can run the football. I recall him missing 6 games because he couldn't play because his behind got himself in trouble. We don't get me started with brothers that couldn't stay off the weed. Okay? Don't get me started. Don't get me started with guys on the Dallas Cowboys that have gotten themselves compromised because, again, the best ability is availability, and they didn't have it there. Dak Prescott may not be the most accurate thrower in the world, but in terms of his athleticism, in terms of his ability to move the chains, in terms of his ability to run with the football, not just throw it, he's made enough throws, but more importantly than that, he can be trusted.
And I'll
that
give you
matters.
one more. Let me give you one more.
That man deserves his money.
Let me give you one more for Dak, because I'm a Dak fan, even though he's the Cowboys quarterback. And I hate the Cowboys. I'm a Giants fan.
And I know you're not saying he's
but
not
I'm
a fan.
But I'm a Dak fan. I'll give you another one you didn't mention. Dak gets better when it matters most.
Okay, then why doesn't he deserve the money?
I will tell you why. Early in Tom Brady's career, early in Russell Wilson's career, and that's the kind of quarterback Dak reminds me of, right? Early in their career, there were game managers who were big on third down. They wound up being Hall of Famers.
Okay.
Dak may indeed wind up that way.
Okay.
But so far, what we know about him is he's a solid kind of mid-level quarterback who has some special stuff in the clutch. Carson Wentz has, even though we don't know about the other stuff, Carson Wentz, in terms of all the stuff you can measure, is in like a top 5 talent
but I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm just saying that even you have conceded that the first year Dak looked lights out, and we had debates as to who was better between him and Carson Wentz because it was that nip and tuck.
Carson Wentz won.
But remember,
Talk
about he won, but barely. And what I'm saying,
I'm saying since then.
No. Since then, remember, we lamented Jason Witten had gone down. Des Bryant's skill set had dissipated. We saw them compromise as a franchise, and we questioned what he had around him.
All right.
Dak Prescott.
Dak Prescott, they play him Carson Wentz film to study up on. Carson Wentz is
the best quarterback in the NFC East, Max Kellerman. You know who it is, Daniel Jones. I'll leave it on that note.